Welcome back. You're watching Meet the Diplomat. Now, if we move ahead, India reiterated its desire to participate in ITER, that's International Thermonuclear Experimental Reactor, projects for generating electricity from nuclear energy. What type of help do you think you would be able to provide?
Well, this is a joint initiative. I mean, it's an international effort, a great center for, it's an experimental center that will be created in France, in Caradache. And all parties to this initiative have already signed, committed themselves to participate. I think for all of us it's very important because this is a source, a new way of tapping nuclear energy in a new form, extremely promising. It's still at the experimental stage, but the prospects are excellent. And it's good that from the beginning we have India associated in this, because then the results of the research will be applied both in Europe and in India, and they produce probably better results because you have a larger base.
But how EU has decided would be able to be a help?
Why we decided India? Because India has already a good experience in that area, because India is, like European Union, short of energy. It has to import and needs strategically to create new sources of energy. So we are on the same boat, so to speak.
21st century is going to be the century of Asia, especially for China and India. What's your opinion?
They are already growing very fast, both of them. And more important, the trade between India and China is growing extremely fast. And investments are going also. I think that India and China have a great interest in working together, in cooperating, in creating a large market.
But the EU has more interest working together with China or with India?
It's true that in the past decade or so, a lot of European investment was going directly to China, and not much interest was being, or much attention was being paid to India. But this is changing. Our attention is more concentrated now, politically speaking, in India rather than in China. Somehow the companies might find it convenient to invest in China because the decisions are taken very quickly.
You're more comfortable with China, that's what you're saying?
The companies seem to be, but would that model be sustainable in the long run?
But after the demise of Soviet Union, USA emerged, right? So how does EU think of making the world multipolar?
The world is already multipolar because, I mean, the belief that the United States was the only...
Do you think it's already multipolar?
It's already multipolar because China is there, India is there, Russia is still there, and America is there. So, and Europe is obviously, Europe is still a lot of homework to do in the sense that he has to stabilize its internal institutions.
Now, if we talk of something else, testing of nuclear weapon done by North Korea has posed a grave threat to the security of the world. How EU decides to counter the defense done by North Korea and Iran challenge?
You say the Iran challenge is something that concerns everybody. We have been trying, as you know, to find a negotiated solution which will preserve the right of Iran to develop its own nuclear energy for Pacific purposes. They have the right, as anybody else, to accede to that technology, and at the same time avoid that the neighbors of Iran and other countries might feel threatened by the capacity.
And what about the North Korea testing?
North Korea, it's a far more complicated system, but I don't. For us Europeans, it's a threat, but we do believe that the most concerned countries, which is China, South Korea, and Japan, are better placed than ourselves to handle this, and we extend our support to those countries. But I don't believe that we can play the same sort of active role as we have been playing in Iran, because in Iran we have close economic relationship with Iran for a long time.
We have had around 7 interactions, summits, EU and India. How do we think we'll be able to go ahead on cross-cultural programs? Cross-cultural programs
have shown a great degree of intensity because that is something that puts people together, institutions of the same nature working. It's not a bureaucratic approach to development or to cooperation. That permits the civil societies to interact through institutions of the same nature, and that proved to be extremely efficient in increasing the awareness of the two parties on which are to make India better understood in Europe and vice versa, Europe better understood in India. So we want to continue with these cross-cultural activities in the future.
For that, we have decided to promote people-to-people level
we can always improve the efficiency
exchange
of the system, and probably we have to go, as we progress, we have to evaluate the results and improve the way of delivering this type of assistance to the civil society, while preserving the independence of civil society. By definition, if we administrations start dictating to the civil society what they have to do, they are no more civil society.
How do you think in the coming years India and EU would be able to move ahead together?
I think we will do a lot, we will certainly have a broad-based trade and investment agreement signed, and that will improve the
and you
economic
will
relations.
also sort out
maritime. That will be sorted out, but perhaps also in civil aviation we need an horizontal agreement. For instance, in civil aviation, most of the countries of the European Union have bilateral agreements with India, and this is working well, and the companies, Indian companies are flying to European countries, and the carriers of those European countries are flying to India. All that is going well. But what's missing is a sort of umbrella agreement to give some degree of legal security for those agreements and to complement what exists bilateral by something that would take into consideration the community dimension of the problem. This is also something else that could be done. I see many areas where we can work together, and I hope that will be possible.
I hope we move ahead together. Thanks a lot for talking.
Thank you very much for inviting me. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Same here. EU and India have laid foundation for strategic partnership. It needs to be seen how this relationship evolves in the near future. Thanks a lot for watching. Meet the Diplomat. See you next week again. Bye-bye.